Hello and welcome, I'm SimUK, and it is my goal to provide to you the most honest, fact-based critical reviews on YouTube. If you find this review helpful, then please hit that like button, subscribe, and help to support the channel by donating via the links below. Thank you so much, and enjoy the review. Hello and welcome to SimUK. The long-awaited sequel to Fishing Barents Sea, Fishing North Atlantic releases today, and I have been fortunate enough to have been included in the beta pre-release testing phase, so I'm absolutely sure that you will want to know if it's any good. Well, suffice to say that yes, this is a very good game indeed. Fans of the much-loved Fishing Barents Sea will be hoping for bigger and better with Fishing North Atlantic, and by Jove, you're going to get it. There are 6 ports spread over 500 square kilometres of Nova Scotia in Canada. There are more ships, 26 in total, and more fishing techniques including harpooning, net, longline, deepline, crab, lobster and trawling techniques. And we have a vast array of sea life to fish for. Swordfish, tuna, lobster, snow crab, cod, haddock, pollack, redfish, mackerel, silver hake, and in addition to all of that, we have some new fishing industry license partner hardware and software to enjoy, including a new autopilot. Thankfully, the career has been expanded too. We now have the ability to sell old or unwanted ships, crew management has been expanded a bit, and you can even nip into the pub for a pint to speak to the lads and get a tip on where to find certain species. At the right price, of course. The swordfish and tuna are absolutely huge, and it's a wonderful experience when you first catch one, be it via either the new fishing discipline of harpooning or deep lining, which is a very profitable and my personal favourite style of fishing. The ocean itself looks even more realistic than ever before, thanks to the new advanced water shader system, which works in conjunction with the new weather system, which also adheres to realistic weather data from the area itself. And at last, we can finally drop anchor and wait by our lines. They've even included an AI sea cat ferry system, which is magnificent to experience. And it is the AI who now fish themselves and drive the prices of fish in the ports. Although I do have some concerns about how much the AI are permitted to drink in the pub before they start work. So this guy looks to be tanking it at full speed into the shore. What's he gonna do? Obviously a drug runner. Obviously a drug runner. And then he just vanishes. Great. So we have a fantastic new map, new ships, new fish, new improved AI, and better water physics and new weather systems. This truly is a fantastic game that is absolutely crammed full of content, and it will undoubtedly deliver you hours and hours of beautiful sunsets, sunrises, and of course the wonderful Aurora Borealis. The night is actually dark now, and the transition from night to day has been spectacularly improved too. And with the promise of wheel and controller support coming in the future, Fishing North Atlantic is a tremendous sequel to Fishing Barents Sea. The new fishing disciplines are a great addition to an already wonderful game, and the new location is one that will delight many. But, the hardcore sim fan, I have to ask the question. Has it improved in terms of simulation? Sadly, no. Although talking to the devs, it does sound like this is certainly something that they are interested in improving and enhancing on. And they're going to do this based on user feedback, so please do leave your comments here. It's a great way to inform them of what you think is missing from the game and what you would like to see in the future. For example, wheel and controller support was on my list. As a result of taking that request directly to the developers, wheel and controller support is now penciled in for a future update. If you know how to manipulate an Xbox controller emulator, you can already use a wheel and throttle in the game right now, and I have to say it adds a huge amount to the immersion levels. Check out my tutorial on how to do that here. For this to work properly though, the control system and controller binding approach will need a complete overhaul. Indeed, right now many of the inputs are repeated and numerous button binding options are simply missing. We really do need this area to be vastly expanded to include, among other things, the ability to better control your crew, and there are quite a few other areas that will need attention too. As brilliant as this game is, and as much as it has improved, I do still have some of the same reservations I had with Fishing Barents Sea. The crew still vanish instead of remaining visible on your ship. The game still takes control of your boat when you're dropping equipment, presumably in an attempt to protect you, the player, from making mistakes. Boat physics are still far too arcadey, with boats stopping like trucks, and the docking is still fully automated. The boat damage system remains far too simplistic, and technically boats can't sink. Fishing itself is still far too easy, with exception for lobster fishing, which is by far the most challenging experience that I have had, and it's a fantastic addition to the game. I haven't been able to master this discipline yet, as I have experienced far too many bugs in this particular area, but it's an area that I'm very keen to look into in more detail. But with exception for the lobsters, you can literally drop your lines pretty much anywhere and expect to get at least a bit of a bite. I tested this theory by dropping my long lines in shallow water some 50 feet away from the port, and I managed to catch a decent array of swordfish and tuna, something you wouldn't really expect to happen in the real world. And the ocean, although it's vastly more beautiful and realistic than it was in Fishing Barents Sea, it has seemingly become stagnant. The only place that I have seen any kind of waves or bad weather is when venturing outside of the map boundaries, which in itself is a great way to provide a map boundary, but bad weather is something we definitely wanted to see more of. Fishing Barents Sea, when it first released, was absolutely brilliant, with very dangerous riptides potentially forcing you out to sea when you're trying to get into port, but unfortunately they've just dumbed this area down more and more, and so far I've seen nothing to suggest that it's going to get any better. But with only 20 hours of gameplay in, maybe there is some bad weather hidden behind a time delay, I don't know. It's possible that bad weather does exist in this game, and I just haven't experienced it. The UI is largely unchanged, with the game still failing to utilise the full width of the screen when you enter the port, and it continues to use their oversized icons and info panels, which forces relatively small volumes of information off the bottom edge of the screen, thus obliging you, the player, to scroll down and acknowledge each one individually. It's a time-consuming and frustrating experience that could be vastly more straightforward. New additions to the game include an autopilot system, which does work brilliantly, but we also need to be able to see the speed setting before we turn it on. And it would be nice if we could see the dials on it become fully animated and clickable too. This would do a huge amount for immersion. Whilst the game is perfectly playable right now in beta, there are a few bugs that still require ironing out. So I'm going to predict, and I expect to see, flying cats and all sorts for a week or two after release, as they are quashed and resolved. I have racked up over 20 hours of gameplay already in this game, and you can watch that over on SimUK Ultimate Realism if you wish. Please note that these 20 hours of gameplay were intended for review purposes, so it is analytical in its entirety, and not necessarily intended to be entertainment. I would like to see proper waves and wake from passing ships. I want to be able to hire the AI crews to run my old fishing vessels, and I want a much deeper and more authentic business system, including wear and tear on my boats and equipment. I want engines and the equipment to degrade over time, and I want them to break unexpectedly. I would like crew with the repair skill ability to then take the time to repair these things if we have the correct parts on board, and if we don't, I want to have to go back to port to buy them and get them repaired. I want unexpected weather to put the lives of me and the crew in danger, and I want the responsibility for every decision to be in my own hands. I don't want the game to take control of my ship ever. I certainly don't want it to slow the speed of my ship down so that I don't go too fast and destroy my nets when I'm either setting or landing them. If I do it wrong and I damage my equipment, then that should be on me. I don't want you to take that away. I literally have a list as long as your arm for things that I wish were included in this game that would basically transform what is a brilliant game into what I believe would be a sensational, groundbreaking simulator. But alas, that is not what we have here. I would really love to hear from you your thoughts about what could or should have been included into this fantastic title. Let me know in the comments section below, especially if you think that I'm completely wrong. Tell me why. Perhaps you don't want a simulation experience at all. Perhaps an arcade game is all that Fishing North Atlantic ever could be, or perhaps ever should be. Like I say, there is so much more that I would want to discuss and share with you about this game, but I have to draw a line somewhere. So please let me know if there's anything that you think I have forgotten, or if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask me. And finally, please take away with you this prediction. On Steam, I predict a massive positive influx of reviews on the release day, because this game truly is awesome. Then I expect the reviews to suffer slightly, whilst game-breaking bugs and limitations in the game are addressed and quashed. And finally, I would expect this game to end somewhere in the region of 80% positivity. Overall, even if you're a hardcore fan like I am, I do still recommend that you consider buying this game. I do this wholeheartedly because it is such a good game that it will provide you hours of entertainment regardless of its arcadey nature, and let's be honest, we have no better alternative. Just the simple addition of having a throttle and wheel control really transforms this game a huge amount, and if the devs are genuinely interested in listening to positive feedback and engaging with the community and enhancing the game, maybe one day we'll get to see a hardcore mode where all of the simulation elements I have mentioned above and all the ones that you're suggesting in the comments will be included. That's something I would desperately like to see, but I can only review the game on what it is today, and it is a fantastic game. It's just not a simulator. Thank you so much for watching, take care of yourselves until next time, goodbye.